tanking at level 40 is gonna be beyond stupid, and before any of the prot mainstream media lies to you, let me tell you that the best tanking spec is gonna be ARMS. To understand it better, let's look at what we are actually missing out on when we do not go prot. You are missing out on some blockchains, you are missing out on some defense skill, you are missing out on one block from improved shield block, you only take one talent in here, and you are missing, this is probably the biggest one, Defiance 15% extra threat. This is probably the biggest one out of the whole talent here. Improved Thunder Armor, that's also decent. You're missing out on the stun, and you're missing out on Last Stand, which is a decent cooldown too. It gives you HP on a brief second, and then you might wanna go something like more armor here. Actually no, you wanna go more 100 damage, what am I saying? And you are missing out on Shield Slam. That's basically all you are missing out on. The threat modifier, Shield Slam, and some tankiness. That's the main thing. And the Shield Slam, before you tell me, it is a nice cooldown. It is just not nearly as nice as Revenge, which we can use in ARMS anyway. And the scaling of Shield Slam is only 5% of your strength because it scales off your block value. So if you get 20 strength, your Shield Slam is gonna gain 1 damage. Compare that to the scaling of your Rune Devastate here. This is 90% weapon damage when you fully stack it. So 14 strength is 1 DPS. Multiplied by your attack speed, that's gonna be the damage of your main hander. Let's say 2.4 the speed of your main hander. At 90% scaling, that is 3.166, repeating of course, more damage for the same amount of strength. So Devastate scales more than Shield Slam by a factor of more than 3. Not to mention, Shield Slam doesn't even scale off flat attack power, so if you get an item that gives you attack power, you do not scale with it, you do not gain any block value from that. Meanwhile, Devastate attack power will translate into weapon damage. As a matter of fact, before even Devastate was a rune, the meta was already going Fury and building full damage because Shield Slam scaled so poorly. However, this time we are not going Fury, we are going ARMS. Why is that? Because Fury talents only make sense if you are dual wielding and Devastate requires a shield. But if we look at ARMS, there is a lot of really cool, interesting things here. Like, first of all, we're gonna take Improved Heroic Strike, that's a no-brainer. We are gonna be using Heroic Strike to dump threat, it is really good. Then we're gonna take Grievous Wounds here, so that means we're gonna go to Stance Mastery, so we can swap stances, maybe we can get an Overpower off or a Whirlwind or whatever, what have you. You can charge and then go to Prot Stance and preserve your rage. This is an excellent talent. Then we are gonna get Anger Management here, because it gives you free rage every few seconds. It doesn't say on the tooltip, but it gives you rage. You cannot compete with free rage. Then we're gonna go Deep Wounds for the scaling. Then we go Impale. We might take a couple points in parry here so we can hit the next tier here. And then here's the big one, okay? Sword Specialization. 5% chance of Wind Fury. 5% chance of getting another swing every time you hit them or you cast an ability. This is huge. You can also go for an axe. There are a couple slow axes you can get in this level. Otherwise, we are also gonna take Sweeping Strikes here. Sweeping Strikes is gonna give you a quintuple cleave, and that's gonna make the prot warrior, not prot, but the tank warrior, very good at AoE fights. You're gonna be able to hold up so much more aggro. You basically go battle stance, you pop this thing, you go back to defensive stance, and every auto attack you do generates double rage. How could you compete with that? And we are not gonna go Mortal Strike here because it is pretty rage expensive, so it is pretty crap. So we are gonna instead go to Fury here, and we're gonna take 5% crit. You can also take 10 defense skill here. Boring. Just take the crit. It's 5% crit. Screw the healers. What you get right here is an extremely damage-oriented build that scales super well off your stats. Your Devastate is gonna be able to give you Wind Fury, which is in turn gonna give you Rage. You are gonna do beyond more than 15% more damage with this build. So the 15% extra Rage you are missing out on here, you are more than getting it back with all these talents here, especially the Sword Specialization. I am not convinced that Axe Specialization is better, but if you can get Sword Specialization, that's the big bucks right there. I say this because I am pretty sure there is only one main hander that is decent in gnomeregan, and that is the Electrocutioner's Leg. So if you can get that one, that's really good. For the runes here, we are gonna be taking the same combo as before. We're gonna be taking Raging Blow and Consumed by Rage, okay? Because Consumed by Rage is the only damage bonus you can get here that applies to a shield. And Raging Blow, it is a free Devastate basically. It costs no rage, that's the main part about it. So you can proc Wind Fury on it, you can get like very efficient threat out of this thing. And no, we are not gonna be taking any other talent. You might wanna take Flagellation here. I am gonna be taking Raging Blow. By the way, I know you guys are worried because I know that tanking doesn't quite work that way. You do not have to be rage capped or hitting 80 rage and getting the enrage every time for this to work. Of course, if you are a tryhard DPSer, a tryhard pumper guild, you're gonna be stacking rage and popping potions, and it's not gonna be that hard to get 80 rage, but you don't have to get it at the start, okay? Like, if you are spamming Devastate and the boss is hitting you hard and you got your world buffs, you are most of the time gonna be generating more rage than you are spending on Devastate, and that means you're gonna hit this anyway. You can also slow down spamming Devastate if threat allows you to do that, just to get a little more enrage. That can work. Remember that Raging Blow and Devastate can proc Wind Fury and you're getting another 5% chance of Wind Fury, so if you get a lot of crit, you are probably gonna be generating a lot more rage back. Also, Sweeping Strikes helps a lot with this. If you get a couple wide swings of Sweeping Strikes, you're gonna rage cap in a second. Your stat priority is the same as before. You wanna get weapon skill if you can get it on anything that drops. That is probably the best thing you could hope for. If it doesn't exist, if you cannot find any, because remember Edge Master is a level 44 item, that sure sucks. The next stat you gotta get is hit chance, then strength or attack power. Remember 2 attack power is the same as 1 strength. And finally agility or crit. Now let's go over your rotation. Keep in mind there might be new rooms here, so there might be a new ability that you gotta put in between here somewhere. We're gonna have to do an update when the tier comes out, obviously. Otherwise, this is a very straightforward priority system. That means that whenever an ability comes out of cooldown, you gotta cast one before the other every single time. So your main ability that you gotta cast every single time that you can is Revenge. Revenge is your most efficient threat you can possibly do. Next in priority is gonna be Raging Blow because it is free rage, so of course you're gonna do that one, and then you're gonna fill with Devastate over and over. If you hit over 80 rage, you can Q Heroic Strike to dump that rage, so you can hit 80 rage again, and you can keep enraged the whole time to do more Raging Blows. It is not worth it to go for Overpower anymore. Devastate is only slightly weaker, and changing stances unless you are under 25 rage, it is most of the time a waste. If you are fighting in AoE though, the best way to do it is to go battle stance, charging, and proc Sweeping Strikes as soon as you can, and then going back to prot stance, and you just cycle through the mobs with Devastate 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and you're done. Otherwise, if there is like more than 5 mobs, you can probably spam Demoralizing Shout. That is gonna be your best AoE threat probably. But remember, if you are doing Sweeping Strikes, you gotta try to get a few white hits off when you are doing the sweeping, because that's how you generate extra rage. Sweeping Strikes can pay for itself if you pop it at the right time. So let me tell you that the warrior is still not gonna be a great AoE tank. That is probably still gonna be the shaman or the paladin territory for the most part, but at least we are getting a lot more competent at it now. There is also gonna be an AoE damage bouncing shield that you can get in gnomeregan, and you can put a spike on it too for even more damage. I would love to see that. I just want to see what you can do with Trash Pulse with that thing. For the weapon, we do not know for sure yet what it's gonna be. The main handle in gnomeregan is probably gonna be the Executioner's Leg, because it is the only one that drops off a boss already. It is a sword, that's why I am so bullish on swords. But if it isn't a sword, a really slow main handle axe is probably still pretty good. You can get 5% crit with the spec, so that's fine. The only type of weapon that you cannot use this build with is a mace. So if the tanking weapon for gnomeregan becomes a mace, sadly this build is not gonna work. I personally cannot wait to try the level 40 warrior, man. I think I am gonna go DPS this tier, but even then Blizzard is trying to do everything they can to tempt me to go in tanking again. Subscribe, leave a like, join the Discord, and thank you for watching!